Welcome back to Money and You. We're so glad you could join us for episode 3. Today, we're diving into something really personal, actually quite powerful, your money story. And if you're just tuning in, remember this whole series is designed as a practical guide for young India, especially for you, whether you're maybe in 8th grade or just starting your first job, maybe in a tier 2, tier 3, or even a smaller town. We're all about making money stuff simple and, actually useful. And that's thanks to the Life Skill Foundation. Their mission, it's really clear. It's about helping young Indians understand money. Because when you do, well, you gain confidence, right? You start making smarter choices. And importantly, you stay clear of those tricky debt traps, which in the end helps build a stronger India for everyone. So today we're talking about your invisible script. Okay, let's unpack this. See, everyone has a money story. It's not like a book you pick up and read. It's more. It's written in your memories, your family's habits, things you've experienced, maybe even some fears you have. And this story, it creates this invisible script. Think of it as a set of really deep beliefs and habits.
And they silently guide every single rupee you earn, spend, or save. Understanding the script, that's really the key. It's the first step to changing your financial future.
Absolutely. It's like hidden programming, Your actions with money, they aren't always logical. Often they're emotional reactions based on these old stories you might not even be aware of. So if you find yourself maybe spending money almost as soon as you get it, or if you feel anxious every time you even think about opening your bank statement, that's probably your invisible script running the show.
That's a really great way to put it. So where do these stories actually come from? Because like you said, often they start with messages that kind of clash, right? Like maybe one day you hear an older relative say, our money doesn't grow on trees, save every paisa, be careful. And that teaches you, scarcity, maybe a bit of fear around money. But then the very next day, you might see another family member throwing a big party, telling everyone, enjoy today. Who knows about tomorrow year? And that teaches you, instant gratification. Spend now. And somehow both those ideas just stick with you.
Exactly. And the sources, we can usually break them down into 3 really powerful influences. First up, family habits. What did you actually see growing up? Were your parents always stressed about bills? Maybe they saved religiously but never ever talked about why. Or perhaps money was always a source of arguments. If that was the case, you might unconsciously grow up feeling that money itself is, just a stressful, negative thing.
That makes sense. And what about the second source? You mentioned conversations, or maybe the lack of conversations.
Yes, that's the second one. Conversations or silence. This is huge. In so many Indian homes, talking about money is just taboo, isn't it? Maybe it's handled only by one person, often the father, and the kids are kept completely out of the loop. That silence, it teaches you that managing money is this mysterious, maybe even scary thing, and that you definitely shouldn't ask questions about it.
Which means when you finally start earning your own money, you feel totally unprepared because nobody ever talked about it openly.
Precisely. And the third big source is your actual experiences. Did you grow up with very little money, with scarcity? Did you maybe watch your family struggle with debt? Or perhaps it was the opposite. Maybe you grew up with plenty, with abundance, and never really had to think twice about spending. All these experiences, they shape your personal money story. For example, if your family always struggled, you might develop this really intense, almost paralyzing fear of losing money later on. And that can make you unwilling to take even smart, calculated risks, like learning how to invest small amounts.
Okay, so knowing that awareness gives you control, let's make it more real. Let's talk about Ravi. He's a 22-year-old engineering graduate from Jaipur. And his story really shows how powerful that family script can be. So Ravi landed a great first job, good salary too, rupees 35,000 per month, fantastic start. And he promised himself, okay, I'm going to save half of this, solid goal. But his invisible script was whispering something different. It was saying, you must please everyone, you have to contribute. He grew up in that kind of environment you mentioned, the financial silence one. His father handled absolutely everything money-related. So Ravi quickly found himself spending most of his income. And not really on things he needed or wanted. It was because of this intense emotional pressure. He felt guilt if he didn't immediately help out with some small family need that popped up, or if he didn't pay for the whole round of chai and snacks when he was out with his friends. He was basically spending to manage his guilt and sort of earn approval.
Ravi's situation is incredibly common, especially for young people starting out in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. There's often this greater sense of immediate, almost mandatory obligation towards family, towards the community. So his savings goal wasn't being derailed because he wanted a fancy bike or something. No, it was being hijacked by social pressure and, family guilt.
Wow. So how did he manage to break free from that cycle? What changed?
Well, he got lucky in a way. He attended a Life Skill Foundation workshop, and the advice he got there was actually brilliantly simple. They told him, just track your spending for 1 month. Don't judge. Don't try to change anything yet. Just observe. Write down where every rupee goes.
That sounds simple on the surface, but I can imagine it's actually quite confronting, maybe even scary, especially if you're someone who tends to avoid looking at your finances.
It really can be, but it's often the only way to actually see that invisible script in action. So, Ravi did it, and he discovered that, yeah, he wasn't spending huge amounts on big luxuries. He found that something like 70% of his flexible spending, the money he could have saved, was driven purely by emotion and that pressure we talked about. It was right there, clear as day, in his spending diary. The story was written in his bank statement.
Okay, so he saw the pattern. What happened next? Did he manage to start saving?
Yes, but not in the way he initially planned. He realized that aiming to save half his salary right away felt overwhelming. It was actually fueling his guilt because it felt impossible while still meeting those family expectations. So he reframed his goal. He started really, really small. He committed to saving just rupees 1,000 every single week, a small, achievable, consistent goal.
And the result, I love this part. In just 6 months, he'd saved rupees 24,000.
Right.
Which is great. But the real win wasn't just the amount, was it?
Not at all. The real win was the feeling. He felt confident. He felt in control. He'd started replacing that old story of guilt and pressure with a brand new story, one about consistent progress and, importantly, pride in himself. And the key takeaway here for you, listening right now, is exactly what Ravi learned. You really have to understand your invisible script first, where your story began, before you can effectively start writing the next chapter.
That leads us perfectly into actually identifying these scripts. Behavioral experts often talk about 4 major money personalities. As we describe these, try to think. Which one sounds the most like you right now? Be honest with yourself. Okay, the first one is the saver. For them, the invisible script usually says money equals security. Their big strength is discipline, right? They save consistently, maybe even obsessively. But the weakness? They might actually avoid spending money even when it's necessary or beneficial. Like maybe avoiding paying for a course that could boost their career or putting off a needed health checkup because spending just feels like losing that security blanket.
Then, opposite in some ways, you have the spender. Their script often whispers money equals joy or maybe money equals confidence. They find happiness or maybe a validation in the act of spending itself. This type sometimes comes from a background where they felt they missed out, maybe grew up with scarcity, so now they're kind of overcompensating. Or, like Ravi initially, they might spend a lot on others to feel worthy or accepted.
Yeah, we probably all know someone like that. That friend who always insists on grabbing the bill for coffee or snacks, even when you know they're probably counting rupees later in the month.
Exactly. Now, the third type is the avoider. Their script basically screams money equals anxiety. They feel so stressed out by anything finance-related that they just avoid it. They won't check bank balances. They might let bills pile up unopened. They just don't want to deal with the paperwork or the numbers. This script often comes from a childhood where money caused huge fights or constant chaos at home, so their defense mechanism is just ignorance. Pretend it's not there.
Okay, and the fourth one. This sounds like the goal, the planner.
Right.
The planner script says something like money is a tool to help me reach my goals. They're the ones who set budgets, track their progress, make informed decisions about spending and saving, and really the goal for all of us isn't to become just a saver or stay a spender or avoider. It's about moving towards becoming more like the planner, finding that balance between enjoying life and managing money wisely.
And that journey, that movement, maybe from being mostly an avoider or a spender towards becoming more of a planner, that's the heart of rewriting your money story. You have to accept that your history, your past habits, they don't have to dictate your destiny. Your financial past is just information, it's data. Your financial future, that's something you can actively decide on and build.
Okay, so let's get practical. How do we actually start rewriting that script starting today? We've got 5 steps to help you start fresh. Step 1, reflect. You've got to ask yourself those slightly uncomfortable questions. What limiting messages about money did you pick up growing up? Did you constantly hear things like, oh, we can never afford that, or maybe investing, that's only for rich people? Identify those beliefs because they are holding you back, even if you don't realize it. Step 2, observe. Just like Ravi did. Track your spending. Commit to doing it for 30 days. Seriously, this one exercise can teach you more than any textbook. Where are the emotional leaks? Is it the small daily spends, like that maybe 50 fancy coffee every day? Or is it the bigger things, like feeling pressured to buy an expensive gift for a relative's wedding that completely blows your budget for the month? You just can't fix what you don't measure. Step 3, reframe. This is about your mindset, and it's absolutely vital. If your default thought is, ugh, I'm so bad with money, every time you slip up, you're just reinforcing that negative script. Instead, try reframing it. Tell yourself,
Okay, I messed up there, but I'm actively learning to manage my money better. That shift from seeing yourself as defined by a mistake to seeing yourself as a learner on a journey that changes everything.
It really does. And this reframing is so important when you get to step 4, which is plan. When you start planning, you stop just reacting to your old script and you begin acting with purpose. Don't just hope to save whatever happens to be left over at the end of the month. That rarely works. Instead, give your money a specific job, a clear goal.
Okay, so what kind of goal would be good for someone just starting out, maybe earning, say, $15,000 or your $20,000 a month? What's realistic?
I think the best goals, especially early on, are ones that build consistency and feel achievable. For a young person, starting a small systematic investment plan, or SIP, is often a perfect first step. An SIP is simply a way to invest a fixed amount of money, it could be just $500 or $1,000 or $1,000, into something like a mutual fund automatically every single month.
Okay, SIP. That sounds like investing. And I think a lot of young people hear investing and immediately think, oh, that's not for me. That's for like rich, older people. Why isn't SIP actually good for a new earner?
Great question. It's good precisely because it takes the emotion and the timing guesswork out of it. You set it up once and it happens automatically. So your old spender or avoider script doesn't get a chance to sabotage your good intentions each month. And honestly, the consistency matters far more than the amount when you're starting. Even just $1,000 a month teaches you patience, it builds discipline, and it gets you into the habit of paying yourself first. It essentially makes you a planner by default, at least for that portion of your money.
That's really powerful advice. Okay, and the 5th step. Step 5, learn. Keep learning. Engage with resources like this Money and You series or look into LSS community programs online. The point is, you don't have to figure all this out alone. Every story you hear, like Ravi's, every new concept you grasp, like SIPs, each one helps weaken that old, unhelpful script and strengthen your new, empowering one.
And you know, we often hear this fear from young people, what if I don't earn very much right now? And the answer is always the same. You can still start. Whether you're earning $15,000 or $35,000 a month, it's the behavioral habits you build now that truly matter for the long run. Even just consciously setting aside rupees 500 every week or committing to that 1,000 monthly SIP that builds the essential muscle of consistency, and confidence follows.
Right. And what about for those who feel like they're stuck repeating maybe their family's financial mistakes? They see the pattern, but they struggle to break it. What's the best defense against that?
The key is to observe those specific habits that aren't serving you, and then create a deliberate replacement habit. Consciously choose something different. So if the family mistake was maybe getting into high-interest debt for non-essential things, your replacement habit could be always save up an emergency buffer before making any large purchase. Or if the mistake was chaotic, unplanned spending, your replacement is goal-based saving. You decide, okay, this $2,000 each month is specifically for my future education or for a new laptop, and you keep that money separate, maybe even in a different account or a specific fund. Giving the money a specific goal like that helps protect it from those emotional spending triggers or pressures.
This whole conversation, understanding the script, taking control, it feels especially relevant for young people today, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Particularly across those Tier 2, Tier 3, and Tier 4 cities. Why is this kind of awareness so crucial in these regions specifically?
Well, think about it. Young people in these areas often start earning a bit earlier, perhaps straight after college or even school, and they frequently face, maybe, greater pressure to immediately balance their own personal goals with supporting their family, often without much formal financial guidance to navigate that. This is exactly why the Life Skill Foundation focuses so much on financial literacy here, because understanding your money story, it gives you 3 incredibly powerful things. First, confidence. The confidence to actually talk about money openly with your family, with your friends, maybe even negotiate your salary better. Second, clarity. The clarity to set financial goals that are actually realistic for you, whether that's saving for more education, starting a small side business, or buying a home someday. And maybe most importantly, third, control. Gaining control over those emotions, the guilt, the pressure, the anxiety that usually hijack your financial decisions without you even realizing it.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, just imagine for a moment, millions of young Indians all across the country managing their money with more clarity, more control. every single rupee saved, every rupee invested wisely, maybe through tools like SIPs or using digital banking platforms safely, all of that adds up. It contributes directly to the growth, the stability of India's entire economy. Investing isn't some exclusive club anymore. These tools, like SIPs, they're accessible now. Investing even just rupees 1,000 a month. It does more than just potentially build wealth over time. It teaches you patience. It builds those rock-solid habits we talked about. And it gives you a real sense of ownership over your financial future.
Absolutely. When young Indians learn to control their money, they truly gain the power to start controlling their destiny. And that, fundamentally, is the ultimate goal here.
So please remember this, your money story, the one you've lived so far. It guides you, yes, but it absolutely does not have to define you. You have the power right now, today, to pick up the pen and start reshaping it. Financial literacy, learning about money, it's always about progress. It's not about achieving some impossible perfection overnight. Every single choice you make, even the small ones, like tracking your spending today or setting up that first tiny SIP, adds a new line to your new, more powerful story. So we really encourage you, think about your story today. What's one small, concrete step you can take, maybe this week, to begin rewriting it? And for those of you who are curious and want to explore the why behind our money behaviors a bit more, books like The Psychology of Money are really excellent reads. They dive deep into this fascinating world of behavioral finance. Also, don't forget, you can download the accompanying study guide for this episode. It's got some great reflection questions in there to help you pinpoint your own invisible script and start thinking about those replacement habits.
We'd love it if you'd subscribe to Money and You so you don't miss any part of this journey we're on together. And please do explore the links in the description below. We've put some resources there that connect you to tools and products that can help you get started with saving and planning today. If you feel you need a bit more personalized help or guidance on your financial journey, you can always reach out to the LifeSkill Foundation directly through LinkedIn. They're there to support you. And one final exciting note. At the end of this entire Money and You series, you'll have the chance to take the Money and You quiz. It's a great way to test what you've learned. If you score above 70%, you'll earn a fantastic certificate of excellence from the LifeSkill Foundation. And even if you score below 70%, you still get a certificate of participation because every step in learning counts. Every learner is recognized. Make sure to stay tuned for our next episode. We'll be talking about setting life goals that matter and really digging into how to align your money habits with your biggest dreams and aspirations. Okay, just one last important thing to mention. This discussion today is purely for educational purposes.
Everyone's financial situation is unique. So, for advice tailored specifically to you, please do consult with verified and qualified financial experts. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep writing your new money story.